Welcome back to Tales and Fails Miniatures. Today we are reviewing the D&D Icon of the Realms, Return of the Dragons. We did have a booster pack, I guess. It was a set of 8. Unfortunately, we lost all of the volume for that, so we're just gonna, instead of doing an unboxing, just at least still go through them for you guys, let you know how we feel about them. So let's get into it. Alright, I think let's each take a giant right off the bat.
Yeah.
So, number one, when I opened this, I didn't even realize this set had it. This is one of the coolest frost giants I've ever seen, with the giant mammoth tusks on the back. It actually comes in 2 pieces, which is nice.
Yeah, so it can fit in the box.
Yeah, I was not expecting it to be in there at all. And it fits actually really nicely. Some of them are a little loose or way too tight and don't fit at all or don't go all the way in. This one is very nicely built. The sculpt is absolutely phenomenal. It looks like they're almost wearing like a dragon scale mail across the chest. The bracers on the arms and everything, and the shoulder pauldrons. Yeah, shoulder pauldrons are just... This whole miniature is truly insane. It's got the vertebrae on the axe, all the different horns, the
different metal filigree.
It's one of the coolest.
I think the whole thing for the set is the sculpts are definitely...
Yeah, I think this set has probably the best sculpts I've ever seen in ever. I mean, truly.
And going from the other giant, this one, who's in one piece, still, sculpt is amazing. Just the bit of furs, the leathers, the scrapped pieces, and what we remember is the mace for this guy is a dead roper.
Yeah.
Or something like that. The creature that pretends to be stalagmites or stalactites.
Which is just another really cool detail that you don't see very often.
As well as the musculature on the miniature itself.
Is sick.
Yeah, great.
And they didn't... Even like the faces on these just look so realistic and detailed. I mean, even like the cheekbones and the ears and the wrinkles on the foreheads and the brows, and... They just did such a good job with these sculpts that I couldn't have asked for anything more. And the paint jobs are what you would want out of a pre-painted miniature. Yep. There's sometimes where you don't get that, and most of these have really just been over the top. And again, the patchwork on the leather or hides on this are just really cool, simple details like that really take it very far. Yeah. And then... I'm going to choose the Gold Dragon, because that's my favorite. And same thing with these. These sculpts for all the young dragons. This isn't all of them, obviously. The gold one here is just amazing. All the frills coming off the face, the horns coming back, the wings, the scales all the way down it are just beautifully sculpted. There's not a lot of, variants like this that have this much detail, and the positions of all of them are very cool. This one being in flight. They did such a good job, even with these new flight plates that they've been starting to do. They've picked better areas, they've made them thicker to where you're not going to break it as easily, and I really like the way they've been doing this. But I love this Gold Dragon. I'm super excited to have it. It's absolutely stunning.
Even the other dragons who aren't flying and just have more of a basic position, which is just sitting, their tail behind them, their wings next to them. The sculpts are all different. They're all unique and very unique. So like the green dragon here has like the frills on the spine and everything, and the shape of the wings is more like, I'd say, bat-like or something like that.
Yeah, and with this, they actually did a dry brush and everything down the chest. They put multiple different tones in it. And again, these are just such good looking. And again, just the sculpt all the way down the tails on these, the different plating all the way through is amazing.
I was going to say, about dry brushing or 2 tones. Yeah. This guy, Bronze Dragon. Yeah, the young bronze. Definitely wild looking. It's hard to see from that far, but with the close up and everything, the green tint on the edges and all of that really adds a lot. Yeah. And again, the wings and the tails are all completely different for each dragon, and it is just a nice detail to have to really distinctly have different visuals.
Yeah, and the only thing that I see out of all of these, this is the only one where you can actually see a mold line, but it's only on the inside of the wings, so it's not as big of a deal. And the way it's sitting, the wings are angled kind of forward where you're not going to see it anyways. But again, it's hard to do something this nice, and I'm awestruck in a sense. I mean, they really did nail all of these miniatures, and I'm very excited.
Copper Dragon. Yeah. I mean, again, same with all of them.
Yep, very, very nice. The ripples in the wings, like all the different wrinkles and everything, just beautiful. And then they actually did the patina look across the edges of the wings and down the back. It just adds, again, that extra little bit of detail that is just stunning. And I'm very excited to see how some of these new dragons come out, because if this is anything to see what's coming in the future for Icons of the Realms miniatures, I'm way too excited then, because this is truly, they absolutely knocked it out of the park.
Yeah.
And I'll take the Wyvern here. I already bought multiples of these. They are very cool. I like the size of them compared to some of the previous Wyverns that have come out. They're much smaller. And
they're a middle ground.
Yeah.
They're not medium sized. They're not overly huge.
Yeah.
They're just that little large, just enough to be like, you know, impressive on the field, but not taking up so much space just for one of them.
Yeah.
So it actually makes sense that they're like a mount of some kind, or there's multiple in a pack, you know.
Yeah. And same thing here. Just such good detailing and thought process are going into these now, with the fact that there's actually holes in all the backs of the wings where you know there's battle damage and things of those sorts that cause these holes that actually go all the way through the wings. It's just simple details like that that really add so much to something so simple in a way. And I love these. I really do.
And then the last big guy we got was the Oni. And straight up looking like a menace. Yeah. The sculpt and everything, the musculature, the weapon, just the basic cape that is tattered and worn with more holes through it. Everything's great. Even like the face, the little bit that you can see is pretty detailed.
Oh yeah, I mean you can see individual teeth on it, the one crazy eye that's sticking out, and the musculature across the chest and everything is just so detailed. I mean, it looks so realistic because you can actually see each individual muscle all the way down, the abs, the pecs. I mean, it's again, I'm so impressed with this set so far. I mean, even the hands. When you usually look at small hands, they're very just blobby.
Because it's just like one, you know, thing. Where, sure, it's that almost for that, but it's so much more detail and refined on that.
Yeah, you can see each individual fingernail. You can see each individual knuckle. I mean, it's... Yeah, these are just so cool. And even, like, with the arm being in a different position, the different muscles are showing based on the position. Again, it's just... The thought process behind these were insane.
Oh, yeah.
All right, you take a winged boy, I'll take a winged boy.
Yep.
I got the Arakocra here, which I have a couple. This is probably my favorite looking Arakocra. The armor is a little bit less paint-wise detailed, but again, the sculpt of it is absolutely gorgeous. You can actually see individual feathers on it. Again, things like that.
The different colors of the feathers. It's not just one tone across everything.
Yeah, and the feathers on the wings are actually like detailed feathers where you can see the striations all the way down. I mean, and surprisingly, straight weapons. That's another thing I noticed with this set for how...
A lot straighter than what you'd expect.
Than we've had in the past for sure. And again, the new flying bases, the way they're doing it, where this one actually connects all the way up the leg to where you have a heavier connection point to where that's not going to break as easy. I think that's awesome.
Yeah. And then this is the Celestial, the Deva, or Deva. And, I mean, again, better connection straight on the back for the flying boys.
And all the way up the back.
Yeah,
which is
all the way.
awesome.
This one, I mean, the colors, it's whatever. It's just like a basic Celestial, gold weapon, one-ish tone wings. There's a little bit of difference.
Yeah.
But even the sculpt still. You can see muscles on the actual individual. You can see all of the different feathers on the wings. And that's the main part, is just all the details when you set it down.
Yeah.
You're going to see those details more than anything else.
Yeah, which is, again, really cool, because usually when you put, we always talk about, half the time we do these, I'm saying, you're not going to be able to tell from a foot away about the mistakes. These ones, people are going to want to pick them up and look at them closer. I mean, they are so nicely done. All right, you pick one. Yep.
I'll take this guy.
Then I will take the Orc Fighter here, which is just basic orc. Skin tone's not the normal like green you would see. It's more humanoid.
Well, yeah, D&D has all these different like. There's a lot of different skin tones of orcs that people use. There's like green's the most stereotypical, but for like goblinoids and orcs and other things, D&D has more like tan and yellowish kind of. So that's going more in line with theirs.
Yeah.
But even without that, again, the sculpt of everything is just...
Yeah, rather than normally where you would see a pair of boots that are just all one piece, these actually have different layers and make it just look, it even has like the slit down the front where they would be laced. The bracers on the arms actually have thread all the way down on all four sides. The armor itself, you can see each individual plate. I mean, again, just the sculpts of these are getting better and better, and I really am enjoying it. And again, even with something like this where it's not painted amazingly, you can still see each individual detail on the face, which just, again, speaks directly towards the sculpts of them.
Yep. And this is the Orog Fighter, which is basically Underdark, not dwarves, orcs. And they're, in the reading, they're, like bigger, stronger, tougher.
Which is cool.
Which is reflected in the mini.
Yeah. Great detail there. Again, just whoever's currently doing these is just doing a phenomenal job because, again, in lore, they're supposed to be bigger and beefier. And the fact that in the miniature, it directly reflects that is just beyond me.
And even more exaggerated orc features.
Yeah.
Besides being, bigger, just muscle-bound, whatever, the underbite, the tusks, the huge tusks. And the armor is also fantastic looking because it reminds me more of more like samurai-esque, which is similar to what like the hobgoblins and stuff. Which spoiler on that.
Yeah.
That kind of armor or adjacent armor style is a very cool, and you don't see it a lot. So when it shows up, especially in a good sculpt, it stands out.
Yeah, and the upper plate armor on this as well just looks. It's more just bulky and rough hewn like an orc would do compared to a nicer set of armor that you would see on a human or elf. And this weapon, just the axe, you can actually see the hammer marks in it. You can see the different scratches on the blade, the chips. You can actually see the bolts that hold through the main shaft of it. I mean, simple things like that just set it over the edge. And
it stands out.
Yeah, it's so cool, though. Again, the fact that they aren't just doing basic boots as well. I mean, with all the different plates on the boots. I really am falling in love with this set. I'm excited to get more of this set. I'm hoping we can get one that we can actually get some volume on and do another box opening.
I already mentioned this guy, so I'm just going to go for him. Hobgoblin Fighter. I mean, again, we can say everything about the sculpts. The face is more what you'd see with, what is it, stamping and all that kind of deep, But even with that, that's the lowest point.
Yeah.
You're not looking at that most of the time. So the armor that stands out, the weapon, which, I mean, it's the most bent for the set, and that's saying something because it's barely bent.
Yeah.
But everything else, just of a basic miniature, is great.
Yeah, and I always like having more hobgoblins because they haven't made a whole lot. They had the warband, so there is a couple, but not an excessive amount. So I'm glad to have those as well. I'm just going to grab, I think there's just a Yeah, just a straight barbarian. There's just a female barbarian. Probably the worst paint job on this whole set, which is saying a lot because it's still better than most of the other sets as a whole. So, again, very nice with the furs on the legs and the arms and the shoulders. The axe actually has detail in different points that go around it. That
like the different bands for the handle.
I mean, it's just so much more detail in these. And the only thing where they kind of messed up here was the hair comes down around the front, and it kind of blends into the neck, so that I just don't know if they could tell where one ends and where one starts. So the skin tone comes down a little far in a sense, but other than that, great, just basic barbarian female. Yeah,
or just human.
Yeah, I mean, you could have this as literally a villager. Yeah. I mean, again, very
more basic humanoid miniatures.
I like having things like that you can turn into villagers because we have like 3 right now, angry villagers, and that's it. It would be nice to have more just basic humanoids to where we can have more villagers and stuff like that.
Yeah. Well, might as well go to why not small. This is the dead. This is the weird one. The Svirfneblin Fighter.
Yeah.
Of all the things, I don't know the naming conventions and all that and where, but I just looked at this and saw, it's a pudgy halfling.
Yep.
Got it. Could be a pirate, could be just a regular, person that's working somewhere, but just the fact that there's just a little bit of a beer gut, and then just basic, tunic, sword, shield.
And boots.
It's nice to just have basic humanoid miniatures for whatever reason.
100%.
Could be a dock worker, could be, a bouncer somewhere, could be whatever.
Yeah.
It's just nice to have.
And the first thing I thought when I saw that was just swashbuckler. That's all I can think of when I see that miniature. Yeah, I mean, it's just such a good little miniature. I would say this is probably my favorite humanoid out of this set. This is just the straight Paladin, and the sculpt on the armor is awesome. The gold plates with the leather straps and the leather bags on the sides, the detail in the boots, everything from bottom to top is just awesome. The sword, for being so small, is perfectly straight. The face looks phenomenal. It actually kind of looks like the actor from the D&D movie. Every time I see it from a distance, I'm like, no, that's him. And then, again, the cape on the back, just the ripples in it, and the way it connects to the shoulder pauldron is just really cool. I just couldn't have asked for a better, just basic humanoid paladin. Even the cape actually comes around and actually has a little clip on the front there. It's just, they did such a good job on that. And I like having, again, basic humanoids, but a nice armored one, because you can use it as a guard, you can use it as a royal, almost anything.
Yeah. The one standout is the Ballista.
Yeah.
And nice static objects like siege weapons or, certain important things. There's a couple that exist in the sets. This one is definitely best detailed of them. I mean, you can see the wood grain, you can see all the stuff with the ropes and the different knots. Everything. It's great. And just having a couple of these in general, just with, this set alone, nice to have stuff like that. Shove it on a boat, shove it on a castle, shove it in an ambush point. Love them. Yeah. Love siege stuff, love static objects and weaponry,
I'm with you there.
All that.
Yeah, connected to a wagon. I mean, you could do so much with that. I like it specifically for the boat. That is huge for me because being able to have a couple of those on a boat or an airship is just so cool. And they made them the right size for that.
Yep. Because they're not huge. They're not too small. It looks like it is just for 1 or 2 people to use.
Yeah. All right. The next one we have here is the Sun Elf Guard. Again, basic Elf Guard, always useful. The fact with this one, they actually made it to where the spear is in both hands, which helps keep it a little bit straight. It's a little bit warped, but again, not bad compared to some of the other ones where you would normally have something like completely bent down. And I like the just basic white robes with all the gold filigree and everything, the gold and the red as well. blonde hair with the circlet across the head. Just very cool. It's a great little miniature for just basic elf guard.
Yeah. Goblin, just get him out of the way.
Yeah.
It's just a Goblin Fighter, but again, even on the Goblin, musculature sculpt, fantastic. The weapon, unique,
gnarly,
awesome.
Yeah,
and
it's like just a giant piece of metal with then a bone handle. It's so cool.
It's just like a cleaver.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of Goblin minis, but if they get sculpted like this, and they have other weird weapons and a little bit different armor, like patchwork armor, I'm all for more of them.
Yeah, and I'll start swapping some out for, if they do more things like this one, because I really love it. They even put a bone in the hair. I mean, they just did such cool little details that just take it over the top to where you just look at it and you're like, that's a cool goblin. Because again, I mean, it's still a basic goblin, but they just do these little extra details that you're like, I want that one.
Yeah.
So really, really do enjoy that. Same thing here, basic kobold. This one is a little bit more basic, but I will say you can see the teeth up and down on it. The eyes look great. The paint job on this one, for being so small, the fact that you can actually see the teeth and everything is just very cool. They did a great job dry brushing it. Great job painting the nails without going, way over the foot. For how small it is, it's just a really nice sculpt and a very good paint job on that.
Yeah.
So.
Bugbear. Yeah.
Basic Bugbear.
Don't have a lot of Bugbear minis. It's nice to have another, Bugbear just in general. Again, sculpt's great. The fur looks great on him, and it's not just, for...
Yeah.
It's probably the least spectacular fur of this set. It's, for the most part, one tone. But that's fine. There's a lot of detail on it, and the armor and the weapon make up for it, because that mace is awesome. And the armor is, you can see
very
all the individual plates and everything, all the rivets.
Yeah.
And, it's just nice to have more bugbears in general, no matter what position, what they're doing. Yeah. I'll take more.
Yeah, and I will say, I mean, the hair, yes, in this case is very one-tone, but if you look at it compared to previous sets, it's the most detailed hair I've seen. Because you can actually see all the different pieces of hair, and even like the elbows, the hair comes out a little bit more. For something like this, it's still beyond any previous set, which is just insane. All right, I'll take this little guy. This is just the Wraith. Again, very basic because of the fact that it's just a clear resin with a little bit of black over it and then some eyes, but it has a nice crown sculpted into it, and the sculpt itself gives it enough detail to where you don't need to add too much to it. And it's a very simple but very cool looking Wraith.
Yeah.
So, and I almost wish they would have done a wash on the face, because if you actually look, you can see the skull.
Yeah.
Like, you can actually see, like, the indent where the nose is supposed to be.
You can see where they gave a little bit of, like, color on the eyes, but that was basically it. I mean,
Yeah, the sculpt for, like, just the face and everything, though, is really nice. You just can't tell because of the fact that it's clear resin. So.
But, I mean, hey. Still, surprisingly, you can see the individual fingers.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, very
Continuing on with all the sculpts. Yeah, it's very nice.
Yep. All right, you can get one.
Oh, let's do the Druid. Yeah, the Wood Elf Druid casting a spell. And gnarly looking hook weapon.
Yep.
The individual itself with the armor, very Druid-like, some leathers, some like leaf-looking patterns, the wild hair. It's just nice.
Yeah.
It is what I would look at and say, yeah, that could be a Druid. I don't know about the metal like weapon. It looks like a man catcher almost, but he's casting a spell out of it. That's the only like thing of it. I don't know. I think they would use more wood, but small detail like that, even with a spell coming off of it, it's whatever.
The new spell miniatures are just very cool, though.
The new spells, the spell effects, very nice. I mean, with a small detail like that, it gets lost with just the rest of the miniature. It looks great.
Definitely. Yeah, there's some new sets coming out soon that I'm very excited about. There's an Underdark one. Almost all the miniatures glow.
Oh, God.
they're using the glow-in-the-dark on them.
Oh, great.
Yep. And then there's just a basic rogue human, just called Dragonclaw. Cloak's very cool. It's got like the shoulder pauldrons that are part of the cloak, have spikes and everything on them. He's got some really gnarly looking little dagger, and I don't quite get the head. It just looks greaser-esque.
Yeah, you did bring that up.
Yeah, with the little chin strap and everything, but very cool. Again, great detail. It's just a very basic miniature, grays and blacks, and that's about it for that. But again, very nice to have a basic human like that.
Yeah, you take him.
Yep.
Needle Blight. We've had some Needle Blights, Twig Blights, all them in the past.
Multiple different.
Different kinds.
Yeah.
It's nice to have different ones.
Yep.
I mean, again, we could say everything about the sculpts. This one does look like it has some weird-ass needles poking off of it.
Yeah.
It looks freaky.
Gnarly.
In its form. Emaciated, skeletal almost. That is kind of the point, and I like that a lot more than some of the previous ones that are just, they were more full, like basic humans that they just kind of added stuff to. But this one, I like the sculpt of it.
And the color is pretty cool, too.
Lunging forward, reaching, the basic, even though it is one tone for the most part, it fits.
Yep.
It fits with some dead, drying, like wood or something like that.
Yeah. Next one here, we got the Guard Drake. They've come out with a couple different Guard Drakes. I like this one a lot because the tail of it is kind of like one of those desert lizards that have the really thick tails. So it just adds, again, just that little cool detail that you normally don't see.
More character.
Yeah, gives them more character. Cool little Drake, especially the character I play has a Drake, and so I like seeing small Drakes like this in miniature form. And again, great sculpt on the plating and everything, the scales, the horn, the face, just knocked it out of the park on that one. This is another very cool little Drake miniature there.
This is the Gnome Wizard. Talking about more humanoids that didn't get a lot of love. Yep. Gnomes, and specifically wizard gnomes. So it's nice to see that, and again, for a very small miniature, pretty good stamp. The sculpt is great.
Yeah.
You can see they tried their best with trying to put the ears on the side.
Yep.
In the hair, and that's whatever. But the sculpt overall and the look of it, especially this far away, it's great.
Yeah.
And it will fit on the table as NPC, player character, whatever you need. And it's just nice to have some more love for the little folk.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it really is. I mean, for such a small miniature, they still did an amazing job.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to some of the other small miniatures that looked horrible, this one you can at least see all the different details on it. So that is very nice. And then I just have the Doppelganger here. Very nice miniature again. The different muscle tones, just the very, again, emaciated looking almost.
They're going gray, alien-esque with them, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, and they just gave just big one-color eyes. Again, nothing special, but it's just very well sculpted to where the miniature has a lot going for it, all on its own. And then they just basically put a color on it and then added a wash, and hey, that's simple, but it worked out really well. It looks very nice.
Just like the Needle Blight, just like the Wraith. It's just a simple monster, but it's unique enough that you can tell going in, for the most part, what you're fighting.
No, definitely.
It's very cool. Anyway, continuing on with the little folk, we have a Halfling Bard. It's nice to get more bards, too.
Love bards.
Usually it's just going to be like a human bard. I think maybe I've seen an elf bard in one of the things.
Yeah.
But halfling, I'll take it, especially with a violin.
Yeah, violin's cool. Definitely, because it's another thing that you don't see very often.
Yeah.
I think I have one other violinist, and it's also a gnome, I'm pretty sure, actually. Yeah. But she has a frog on her shoulder and stuff, so...
But, I mean, more bards, more basic, humanoids, commoners of some type. It works.
Yeah. This one is the Quickling. Again, this is probably the smallest humanoid I've seen, and you can still see the sword on it. You can still see the hair. It, again, not as good in the face, but I mean, again, you're talking about something that's
minute,
so small that you literally almost... I don't know if I could do any better. I'll tell you that. I mean, and they're hammering these out mass produced, so I'll give it to them on that. And again, just a cool little miniature to have.
Yeah.
I think I have maybe one other Quickling. So again, very cool little miniature. Glad to have something like that again.
Yeah. And then this is just a mains.
Yeah.
I think a demon, devil, something like that. Reminds me of the Lemure, I think they were called, from one of the other sets.
Yeah.
Just a nasty looking, pink, fleshy toned demon thing. Again, it's one tone, but you can tell of all the like damage and rotting skin.
Yeah, it's actually kind of gross with the different like divots into the flesh and everything.
Fat
It's
folds.
Just,
I mean,
it's kind of
everything.
just a gross little miniature, to be honest.
Yeah, and again, for the one-tone guys who are in the set, 1 or 2 tones, and they just throw them out. Basically, it's great sculpts.
It's hard to beat something like that because of the fact that the sculpts are so good. You can throw a simple paint job on it, and it still looks amazing.
Yeah,
that's hard to do as is. So again, in my opinion, this is the best set that's come out probably since I started collecting miniatures.
Yeah,
just at least quality-wise.
Yeah.
You can't beat having dragons. It is Dungeons and Dragons after all.
It's got dragons. It's got some giants. It's got some basic, kind of enemies and stuff you'd run into. Some more uncommon guys.
Yeah.
And even some basic minis for some human folk.
Yep.
It's got everything.
Yeah.
Especially and even flying Arakocra, some Celestials.
Yep.
We're looking good on all fronts.
No, definitely. Again, this is probably my favorite set. I really had a good time with this. Hopefully we can get a couple more of these and get you guys a box opening. That is at least the goal, to where we can try to go through some more of these. I'd really like to do that. If you did enjoy this video, please do like and subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one. Cheers.